All right, hi, welcome to the training. My name is Vic Karanovich. I am so glad that you're here. We have a ton to go over, and so we're not going to wait very long. I am waiting for a few people to join this training just to keep me on my toes, just to maybe ask questions in case I missed anything. Otherwise, this is going to be a very intimate, private training, and I think actually, if let's just get started. So, um, welcome to the training How to Boost Your Conversions by Up to 270% with Reviews and Testimonials. A careful look into minimizing a business's vibe review barriers, understanding what they are and what to do about it. So, I like to welcome, beyond just the snazzy kind of sounds of how cool that all sounded. Um, I'm thinking what caught your eyes is the word conversions, and maybe cut that coupled with the words reviews and testimonials. And so the question is, why did I do that? So my name is Vic Karanovich. Just to give you a quick overview of who I am, just so that I'm not a stranger, I am a 10-year marketer. I've been working in kind of uh, mid-level, medium-sized business, online marketing, and email marketing for a number of years. And at some point, I wanted to pursue my dream of working with small businesses just because I I love the fact of the underdog trying to make his way in the world and overcoming all odds and challenges to do that. And it's been done before. People are doing it every day, but then there's a lot more people who are having more challenges, and everybody knows the statistic of the typical statistic of 90% of businesses, small businesses, failing within the first 5 years. And so I wanted to take what I learned and some of the lessons that I learned and help those businesses out. So going back to what I was originally talking about before, why would I call a presentation or name a presentation with regards to something related to conversions and couple that with reviews and testimonials? And why is that so important, especially today in 2020 and beyond? So we are going to understand something that we've developed called the review mistake assessment, and how a business can. I think my mic fell off. Sorry about that. And how a business can address those 5 barriers and optimize their reviews. And based on that, what research tells us is that a business will experience a up to 270% boost in their conversions, so long as their reviews are optimized. And so I just want to make sure that I've covered everything so far. Oh yeah, one more thing, a quick note. We do have a free tool for you, which I'll talk about at the kind of near the end of the training, and it's going to address one of these review barriers. But we're going to have tons of examples, as well as we're going to be a bit hands-on in this training. I'm going to show you something that you can do today. We're going to go through it at a little bit faster pace, but I'm going to give you a link to the full training. That way you can do it at your own leisure, and you don't have to be rushed or anything like that. So what I recommend for you guys to do is obviously to take notes. I know you probably have a few other browsers and Facebook and maybe some emails and stuff going on. I'm not going to even try and convince you to turn this off because I know you won't. However, do try and pay as much attention as you can. And so what I would recommend for you to do is to open Google Drive. Everybody has a Google account, I assume. Open a Google Drive and open a uh, Google Word, I guess, or the Word equivalent, and so you and just take notes there. And as certain ideas come to you, and as certain thoughts come to you, then just write those notes down in Google Drive. And I think, and it'll save it to the cloud. You don't have to worry about storing it somewhere. And that's usually what I do, and I find it very helpful. So let's start moving forward, because we have a ton to cover, and I'm gonna try and do it all within an hour and a half. Okay. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is, did you take the assessment? And this training is really coupled with an assessment that we created. And even though we're going to hit all 5 review barriers in this training, you want to know which review barrier is more relevant to you at your stage in your business, or your challenges given this review barrier. So what I recommend, the assessment takes only 2 minutes. Go to go.smbreviewer.com/review barrier, as you see on the screen in front of you, and just go there real quick and take the assessment. Make sure you take the assessment, and it's gonna make this presentation and training much more relevant to you. And you'll be redirected to here. Don't worry. Just take the review barrier assessment. And so I assume most of you have already taken it, so we will just continue forward. So as I mentioned earlier, I've been in marketing for a number of years, and one of the things that I realized is something that kind of hit me after about 1 to 2 years of flying solo. So after a while, I decided, look, it's time for me to pursue my passion. Let's start, building a little consultancy, freelance, that sort of thing. And then what I realized from that was, the main keywords that people are looking for in terms of services or in terms of tasks, marketing tasks, is sales, marketing, Google ads, Facebook ads, chatbot marketing, all kinds of different little tactics, and email marketing and social media marketing. And so small businesses tend to throw out these words, and they try to be as sophisticated as they can because they heard some training, or they heard they heard somebody else talk about how important it is to do X or Y. And what I realized over some amount of time is that doing these things are really, I'm not saying that they're bad, and obviously they need to be done, but they're kind of ineffective, especially uh, when done in a singular framework. And so it usually doesn't work out that you can just do Google ads, and if your Google ads are bomb and they're really getting business, that's going to get you to a place that you want in your business. Really, what I found is that it was much more effective to think of marketing and sales and anything related to that as a big kind of ecosystem. It's an ecosystem of trust building operations, or what I call TBOs. Because what we're really trying to do is trying to build trust with our prospects and our clients. And no matter how you look at it, uh, whether you focus on referrals or whether you focus on anything else, what you're trying to do is you want people to find out about you somehow, some way, and you want people to build confidence and build trust in your product, service, brand, or what have you, and you want people to then start engaging with you. And to do that, what we found is that what you're trying to do is just really build trust. If we're trying to, dummy this down into a few words, we want to build trust with our clients, and so, or with our prospects, I should say. And so that really becomes the goal. And so when you start thinking about this as the goal, then everything becomes more clear. Does that make sense? Everything that you do is either about building trust or it's not. And this makes it so much more helpful to cut out the garbage and cut out things that are ineffective uses of time and money. So this is really, I'm mentioning this because it's relevant to reviews, and you'll see how this kind of plays in our overall application of marketing and sales into the greater context. So we like to think of ourselves as a trust building agency. I founded SMB Vision a number of years ago, and so what we do is we build trust, and that's how we think of ourselves, and that's how we dream, eat, smell, breathe. Is if XYZ doesn't do this, then we try actually to cut it out of what we do, just because there's so many different strategies and tactics and things you could do. You don't want to get lost in the space. So what I want to do right now is to kind of go over some of these elements and principles of our trust building process with you. I hope that's okay. And maybe that will make it more clear as to explain from what perspective we're coming from. So the first one, and by the way, you may do a lot of these already. However, I still feel like there may be something that you take away from this, at least in a formalized context, when everything's kind of put together in a certain method or a certain equation. So, the first one I want to talk about is listening and understanding. And this one may be done by a lot of you guys and may not be. So what I mean by this is this really should play into a business before even maybe the business even begins. And we find this element so critical and so underperformed by small businesses that there's no doubt that I would talk about it first, which is we like to explain this as the research and an understanding element. It's a crucial aspect to knowing what to say and how to say it, and which market to serve and how to serve it. I didn't write that, but that's also a big, part of it. So I can't emphasize how important it is that that a business use every tool to their disposal and every resource to get as much research and understanding of a specific need. And it doesn't matter whether it's a medical need or some kind of entertainment need or anything like that. A business really has to go out of its way to understand who am I serving, and once they kind of understand that, they can start going into the various layers of, okay, so what does this person like to do? What are their interests? what are their pain points, what are they willing to pay for, what are they not willing to pay for. And this is both on the macro level. So when you're just starting out, you're going to start trying to do the listening and understanding in kind of a broader scale. And then once you justify the business that you do and who you serve, then you start applying this aspect on the micro level with each customer directly, and so, or prospect directly. So that's going to really drive up your ability to build trust and drive up your ability to engage with people, and with the goal of people confiding in you. And so that takes us to the second element, which is educating. And educating, we love this one because people kind of get a little cold feet when it comes to this one, both because of time and because of the following, which is we like to think of this as the meat of the sandwich of trust building, guiding prospects to understand exactly what they need to achieve success in order to build favor. So when I tell people that they should essentially give away what they do for free, or for basically for free, they're like, what? So let's say, for example, just to paint a practical picture, let's say you're a lawyer, and we're gonna see actually a practical example of this, of how it worked for one lawyer. Let's say you're a lawyer and you deal in traffic law. Okay, so I would recommend to you to, if somebody calls you up, or on the, alternatively, it would possibly even make more sense to create the material for your website or create a training, that you develop some sort of material, educational material, to tell people exactly what they need to do to be successful in whatever kind of challenge or need that they have. And you're thinking, like, especially if you're a doctor or somebody with some sort of expertise or anything like that, you're like, well, I went to school for a long time. I practiced in the industry for a long time. Why would I just give away this information for free? Or at least at a very low cost. And again, the goal is to build trust. And so you're saying, well, aren't people going to just take my info and run? Well, the truth is, a good amount of them may do so, yes. However, the truth is those people wouldn't have paid for your service anyway. And that's what the research has told us for years and years, that people who tend to show some sort of interest and are kind of iffy and wavy, we're probably not going to buy your service or product anyway. And it makes way more sense for you to just, what we call giving away the prize, to just give away the prize so that people confide in you as the expert. And we found that good karma and that guidance and interpersonal connection, even if it's done digitally, leads to so much more long-term success than really anything else. And it's going to play into both listening and understanding and reputation and other things as well. So something to take away from this is just don't, when you take the time to explain to somebody what their challenge is and how to overcome it, the truth is most people aren't going to want to do this themselves. Even if you explain to everybody step by step what they needed to do to fix their car, they're not going to fix their own car. So what you did is make somebody feel way more comfortable, and you invested the time into that person. That person's going to be way more willing to invest the time and money and favor into you. So that's what that means in a nutshell. For the sake of time, we are going to move on. And this is really the principle that we're going to focus on, right? So we have three main principles. The fourth one is kind of a supporting element of these three. And the third one we're going to play into is reputation. So the first two have been about looking at a business already from the inside, and reputation plays into business favor from the outside. And so reputation, what we define as being using external influence to build credibility, right? If we just try and make that definition as simple as possible. And that's what we're going to talk about. And so reviews and testimonials are one aspect of it. The other part of it is referrals. We are not, in this presentation, we're not going to get into referrals. At the end of this presentation, you'll get my personal information. If you like this training and you're like, Vic, I would love to listen to a similar training about referrals, I'm more than happy to do that for people who are interested. It's good to know if that's something that you'd want to know. Okay, so, and then what is the fourth element? Well, the fourth element isn't officially part of the original three, but it does play into a huge kind of human psychology factor, which is repetition and re-engagement. And that even if you have some element of trust from the first three, it's always very useful and resourceful to have repetition and to be able to re-engage with your prospect or clients. And that's only gonna just boost your ability to service these people. We are all human, and so we're challenged with human difficulties, whether that's attention or whether that's because of competing marketing messages. And so repetition is key. So my question to you is, why reviews, right? Why reviews? Why am I taking the time to focus on reviews and testimonials? And why I think that's one of the first and main things that you should actually do. So the first one is retain customers. So you may not think of reviews as a method of retaining customers, but the truth is that when businesses give their clients and customers an outlet to communicate with them and really engage with them, that's actually going to strengthen the connection between a customer and a business in the long run. And we're actually going to look at a specific data point that's going to talk to that a bit more. The other thing that I want to point out is, what do reviews and testimonials do? Well, they turn prospects into customers. And that's really the goal, right? We want the money, right? I'm saying it kind of like in a arrogant way, but you wouldn't do what you do for free because it's not sustainable. So we want some element of conversion, and that's gonna make everybody a happy camper. So the third aspect of this is build prospect trust in your brands, products, and services. So when people read reviews and testimonials, we're going to get into more data about this very, very shortly. There's going to be some number of reviews that data shows us that people should engage with in order to achieve a level of trust, in order to go to the next level of engaging with the business. And lastly, the fourth element is to understand customer feedback, and on top of that, to be able to change. And people will be very vocal, right? You have some people that will just say you're great or whatever, but there's a good number of people that will give you feedback that you need in order to shift your business to make sure that you optimize your business in your ability to service your group of people, your demographic much more effectively. So Vic, you're coming to me, you're saying, Vic, I got so much to do, man. I got this thing is not singing. I got I gotta go to this networking event. I gotta call. I had some calls with clients. 11, 2, 3, and they're all gonna run an hour each. I gotta create blog content. I gotta do some cold emailing. I haven't even created my email marketing automation yet. Like social media, like there's a way too much to do, and yeah, it's like definitely in today's day there is definitely way too much to do. I agree with you. It's not easy being in the seat of a small business. However, I'm going to make the claim that undeniably that if you are a small business, this is probably like top 3 things. Reviews and testimonials are within the top 3 of what a business has to be responsible for and has to optimize. And it's something that we're going to get into this training where I'm going to give you a free practical way of creating a system that something you can pull together in an hour. We're going to go through it, and you're going to be able to walk away today after today's training with knowledge and guidance of how to have a system of at least collecting reviews and keeping your reviews fresh. And it's going to answer one of the review barriers that we're going to talk about. So my aim in this training is to try and provide you with as much value as I can, and I am very much looking forward to, after the training, if you have any questions, to send me an email and let me know, or even schedule a call with me and let me know what what's lingering in your mind, what kind of challenges you're having, and that way I could help guide you a bit further. So I'm just curious, let me just, there's a few people on this training, as I mentioned before, and I just want to see how many people here are data people. How many of you would consider yourself a data person? You like to look at data, you like to make sure that what you do is supported by data, supported by metrics, and maybe certain professionals that validate what you do or will do. So I see Jill, I see Michael. Okay, so I see yes. I try to be. Those are the responses that I got so far. No, I like to think I am, but no. Okay, so I am a big data person, and whether that's through A/B testing, which is testing various elements in a creative, or looking at other people's research, I like looking at data because I really hope if you take away anything from this presentation, it's this key point. When we think that we can speak for our clients and that our clients think like us, then we start, even if we are technically fitting into the group of our clients, then we run into trouble. I full-heartedly believe that. Some of you are probably agreeing, some of you are probably thinking, no, I know everything my client wants. But the truth is, until we really have solid information that validates what we do, we're kind of taking a big risk, because what happens is if we are going off emotion or general conclusions, then what we're going to take a risk with our money and time and be like, I think based on what I see, this is what people like. This is what people want. I see it a lot, and I see it runs businesses down because they end up spending thousands of dollars, literally tens of thousands of dollars, and even more, and they shoot themselves in a direction that goes nowhere. And the truth is, it's not just small and medium-sized business doing this. I worked for enterprise level companies, and everybody you can think of, from PayPal to uh, Under Armour to I don't want to stab any brands in the back, but I've seen how they do marketing, and they're often doing the same thing. They're often relying on gut or intuition or general insight. So let's focus on the data. I'm going to throw 10 very key pieces of data at you, which I think are going to better explain and validate what we're doing here. So the first one is 74% of people under 55 found that reviews are as trustworthy as referrals. And that is a big statistic. And the reason why that's a big statistic is that just think about that's 74% of people under 55 is the majority of people. But even more so, that represents probably the majority of consumers for most industries, but not for all. And this is saying again that people are increasingly finding reviews and testimonials found online to be as trustworthy as referrals. Before, referrals used to be the cream of the crop. It used to be the go-to source of information, right? You go to your friends, your relatives for who to go with. But now people are increasingly relying on referrals and reviews, and that's just, it's not bad or good. It's just what this time is showing. It's changing behaviors. The second one, we're going to go through these pretty quickly. The second one is 82%, 4 out of 5 people, consumers specifically, look at negative reviews and how businesses reply to those reviews when searching for brands and for products. So that's huge. That means the overwhelming majority, right? 4 out of 5 people are looking just solely at the negative reviews. They want to see, okay, they assume that if somebody's going to say something positive, that it's not saying that they're not going to look at positive reviews, but they're going to look at the negative things because they want to see what the faults are. But the key to this stat is that people are looking for how the businesses respond. So, and we're going to show an example or two of this as well, and just ways you can respond in an optimized way that actually could even build, help you out more than not doing so, or by not even having a negative review, because it shows that you are legitimate. Having negative reviews really shows that you're legitimate, shows your legitimacy. And if you respond to those reviews, then that's going to show that how you take care of your customers when they're unhappy. The third one, and this is a good one to just keep in the back of your head, is the average number of reviews a consumer needs to read before feeling a sense of trust is around 10 reviews. And so the first stat came from the 2019 Bright Local Consumer Survey. This stat came also from the Bright Local Consumer Survey. And you see a lot of these are from that survey. And the reason why I use the survey is because this survey has been going out every year to thousands of people. And so it's something that Bright Local has been doing for a while, and they have a good sense of their data, and and what the data means. 53%, this is also from Bright Local, 53% of people on average would consider a service with less than 5 stars. Okay, so one of the most common questions I get is, do I need to have 5 stars, right? Do I need to do whatever it takes to have 5 stars? Well, yes and no, right? And I think this stat is a little overinflated because it doesn't factor in the point that what we just talked about, which is people also want to see a human side of a business. And if you have too much perfection, it's going to raise some red flags, especially today. People have some guards, so, and they legitimately have those guards. And maybe you can even speak to that for yourself, as you want to read your reviews and be able to trust them. And so I would say the ideal range to have is about 4.4 to 4.9. 5. I'm not saying that if you have a 5.0 it's bad. It's definitely good. Just keep in mind what your reviews say, and if you have too much good, that might flag some caution with a number of people. Okay, so as you recall, the title of this training is how to have a up to 275% conversion boost by using your reviews and testimonials. So it comes really from this stat, which was comprehensive research done by the Spiegel Research Center on reviews and testimonials. The Spiegel Research Center is a part of Northwestern University, which is in around Chicago, Illinois, and so they found that by an overwhelming number that businesses with 6 to 10 reviews and products with 6 to 10 reviews have almost 300% conversion boost over those without. And keep in mind that is 6 to 10 reviews per source, right? Because that person, whatever prospect or potential client, needs to engage with those reviews. Now that doesn't mean that if you have 5 or 4 or 11 that you may not achieve that result, but this is we're trying to focus on the average. Okay, so this next stat is going to play into one of the review barriers that we're going to hit. We're going to go over again at midway in the presentation. So 58% are the number of people who said that recency of reviews was the most important factor to them. So this one blew me away because I always thought the number of reviews was the most important factor. But this stat carries the idea that actually for the majority of people, they want to see how recent your reviews are. They want to see that the review and the information is fresh, as opposed to just sheer number. Sheer number ends up being the third most important, actually. This metric of recency ends up being the first, and so that's going to play into one of the review barriers. The second to last one says 70% of people who somewhat trust native reviews on e-commerce website. So let me just clarify what that means. That means that when people see reviews on your website, only 2 out of 3 people, more or less, will trust those reviews. Why? Because they're reviews on your website, and thus they can be easily manipulated, if that makes sense. you're essentially in control of that data, and that puts people a little bit more on guard. Still 70% is a good number, but ideally you want as many people as possible to confide in your reviews as you can. And the last stat that I have for you also comes from BizRate, and they found that 57% trust and read online reviews from Google My Business as their primary source. So I didn't put that, but what this stat means is that when people have the choice of where to go to look at reviews, they prefer to choose Google My Business. And then you start getting into secondary sources like Yelp, Facebook, and etc., and any other directories out there. So the 5 review bearers, what are they? And here they are. So we're just going to go through these real quick, and then we're going to get much deeper into each of these. So the QRB, the quantitative review bearer, is a lack of reviews as well as public business feedback to make an impact. So just to summarize what this means a little bit further, it's quantitative meaning quantity, and so a business doesn't have sufficient amount of reviews, more or less. This plays into a few other principles as well. However, just to keep things short, this is the main problem for I'd say most businesses, or the fundamental problem for most businesses. So it's making sure that you have enough reviews. So RIB does not stand for baby back rib. It stands for review impact barrier, and it is the utilization of your reviews and testimonials within an effective strategy to impact customer behavior, including the use of techniques to showcase reviews. So what I want to say about this is, real quickly, is just that, let's say you have 30 reviews, right? You have 30 reviews everywhere, or I should say along all your sources. So that some of that could come from internal sources, that can be Facebook, that can be Yelp. So if people never see those reviews, then those reviews are essentially ineffective, because if people are, let's say, finding you through Google My Business and you have only 2 reviews on there, then that's not going to do you a whole lot of good if you have 28 reviews somewhere else, right? It just makes sense. Well, the other element to this is that the number one taken action, if people find favor from your reviews, is to go to your website. It is the number one most common action. The other, others would be calling, but that all those things are much less common than attempting to go to a website first. And so what we're going to cover in the review impact barrier is the ability and the utilization of your reviews in places where it matters, such as your website, but it could also mean other mediums as well. The DRB, the diminishing review barrier. So this review barrier really came from a few stats that I found, and also is, one being the one that we just went over in the last slide about how important recency of reviews are. And so diminishing review barrier means that your reviews become outdated, essentially, and they diminish with time, almost like a car that grows old. And so, like, the value of a car diminishes with time pretty quickly, so do your reviews. The RPB, right, the review power barrier, is the utilization of video reviews and testimonials. So this is going to be an interesting aspect of reviews that's going to change with time. In the next few years, we're going to see this one maybe even take over some of these, one of the three earlier, the one of the three first review bearers, because of the impact of video and how people are utilizing video much more so today than they are in previous times. And it's not that video reviews and testimonials are unique or they haven't been around. It's just that they haven't been around like they exist today. And as we see, Amazon is supporting video reviews. I believe Facebook is supporting video reviews, possibly. Other directories are starting to support video reviews. It takes up quite a bit of bandwidth, but businesses are seeing the importance of it. I think AliExpress also supports video reviews now. So keep in mind, this is becoming a big part. This is really playing into the future of reviews. And the last one is called REB, or the Review Empathy Barrier, which focuses on the need to utilize customer experiences and stories within reviews. So I'm not going to get too much into it, but there's not a lot of data that advocates, well, what about the actual review content? So we're going to get into that, and we're going to dive deep into the science of reviews and how they impact people, and really what constitutes as an optimized review. So we're going to have a good number of examples, and we will do our best to really explain how to achieve an optimized review. And as I kind of mentioned just a little bit prior, is this tends to be the flow of the review barriers for a specific business, meaning that usually a business starts out with a QRB challenge, and they move on to RIB and then DRB, and then in level of importance and in level of challenge, RPB and also REB being the final step until one's reviews are completely optimized. So obviously I just threw a ton of stuff at you. We don't have too much time for questions, but I wanted to see if I can answer any quick questions maybe. Let me just check on my other laptop. Invited a few people to this training. Any of you guys have any anything you want to ask? Let's give you guys a quick minute for that. Okay, so Anita from Albany, Georgia says, my result was the diminishing review barrier. Can you clarify which tactics or steps I should use? So thank you, Anita, for that question. Awesome question. And I think that this training is for you because we are going to spend a little time to answer this specific question. And I'll be sure to recall this question once we get to that point. But Anita, we will go into a specific training of sub-training, I should say, of how to address this specific issue. Okay, so Michael from Kansas City, Missouri asked, excuse me, I'm having difficulty trying to convince my clients to leave reviews. What can I do? Okay, so Michael, excellent question. It's a issue that a lot of people have, right? It's one thing to try and get a review. It's a whole nother thing to actually get the review. We are gonna talk about this it's in part with Anita's question. However, we are going to answer this question as well, much more deeply in the presentation, I promise. So just hold on to that thought. We'll get to it. And Jill from Tracy, California says, for the assessment, how did you rank the challenges or barriers based on the answer? Okay, so great question, Jill. So I think a lot of it, I'm not trying to hide anything. There was a lot of thought that went into this, right? Is how do we rank which review barrier you personally had in the assessment. So it had to do with a number of inputs that you put in, and there's also a ranking factor. So even if you, let's say, would qualify for the REB, the review empathy barrier, even if, and let's say you satisfy the QRB, you would probably get the QRB first. You would probably get the QRB as your result. Because why? Because there's some elements, fundamental elements that need to be addressed before you can move on to the next tier of attacking all your review barriers. So hopefully that made sense. There's a scale in different levels, right? So it just depends how you answered certain questions, and that would rank various answers higher, or various outcomes higher. So the QRB, let's just get into it, right? This is the most fundamental barrier, and I'm just going to remind you about some quick data points that we covered. So again, 275% boost in conversions with 6 to 10 reviews. 10 reviews were needed for customers to confide in a business, and 72% of people under 55 read and confide in reviews always or regularly. So remember, these 3 data points really come back to this review barrier, and this one might be the most obvious to you, just because you're like, well, of course you need more reviews. However, we need to understand how many, because especially with being small businesses, our resources might be constrained, our numbers might be constrained, and so we need to know what, at least on a minimal level or at an ideal level, what we should achieve and where should we focus our resources on before we focus on other things. So when generating reviews, I think we're going to have some good practices here that you should take notes on if you're taking notes, and walk away with some of these values. So first point I want to mention is to ask more than once. And there's nothing wrong with asking for a review or testimonial more than once. And I know I can speak to this. I was kind of shy at first to pushing clients, and I didn't want to step on anybody's foot. And what I learned, and what we kind of learned as a business, is that it's just not as sensitive as people think it is, and that people have a lot going on. As we saw in like the 3rd or 4th slide with the list of things to do, everybody has a ton of things to do, especially if they're a small or medium-sized business, and our attention, we're fighting so much with other brands and other needs for attention, and that things get kind of buried. So definitely ask more than once. Definitely don't feel bad about it. It's but you do want to time your request, but still ask more than once. So okay, second principle, totally cool to incentivize. It's totally cool to offer discounts, free services, consultations, whatever you can come up with. Be creative. The most important thing that I would say here when it comes to incentives is to offer something that your clients or potential clients will value. Because I've seen in the past where in referral programs and that sort of thing, where you know offering money just didn't do it for people. They weren't motivated. And this is going to be a secret. This is kind of like an industry piece of knowledge, which is people are super glad to refer you and super glad to do things for you if you make them look good. So if you provide a service or an extra service or whatever, that may be, people will want to that might be enough to get people to get what you want, or to do what you want. Sorry. So be open, and again, try and understand what's valuable to your customers. And the third principle, very, very important, is to make it easy. Do not make it into a 5-10 step process. Make it in as little clicks as possible, and we're going to show you an example of how to do that. So these are 3 principles that we suggest at all costs to avoid, even if you've had success with some of these things. So the first one being, don't get fake reviews. And I know this one's attractive. I know that there's people out there that will write a fake review for you in all your directories for $20 each. Don't do it, because the problem is that, first of all, we found that people can more or less identify fake reviews, not 100%, and they won't always be able to do that. However, once people do identify your fake reviews, then your reputation is shot. It's just completely destroyed, and it's just not worth jeopardizing your reputation just for some easy wins. The second principle of things you shouldn't do is do not leave negative feedback naked, and really don't leave any feedback naked. If whether you get a positive or negative review, remember 82% of people look for negative reviews and how businesses respond to them. So you want to make sure that you are showing yourself as a responsible business, answering every point in the review, and also not giving a very templated answer. And that's going to show how much you care, I think, more than anything. And the other thing we don't recommend is to reach out 4 months later. And this is something that a lot of businesses do, and it gets them in trouble, because then to whatever client or former client you may seem irrelevant, or your service may have seemed irrelevant. And we're going to answer this specific idea with a specific solution, with how you can optimize your review capture in the most optimized time. Okay, so what if I don't have reviews? This is something that everybody deals with, and we need to address it. Even if you do have reviews, is just might be some good points in here. First, make a list of people you know or you don't know. And so whether it's people on the street or whether it's friends, we recommend that you try to avoid family, especially with family with the same last name as you. We had a client at one point on a hustle to get reviews, and he was a gym, and he was a famous boxer, or at least a professional boxer, and he had all of his family members, review on Google and such. And it just looks a little shady when when your name is, when you have a specific last name and then you see like 5 people with that same last name on the review, you don't want to raise red flags. You don't want people to start questioning your reviews and testimonials. And then once you make that list, you really literally want to make a list of everybody. If anybody who's worked in life insurance knows that that's how you start. You just make a list of everybody, and it's not necessarily that you're trying to sell all these people, but you just want people to reach out to. And you can tell people that you're running a promotion. You can tell people, and if you don't feel comfortable charging, you can do something like point number 2, which is to offer some portion of your service for free. If you're a massage therapist, let's say for example, offer a 15 to 30 minute massage, and trade for a reviewer testimonial, and be natural about it, and you don't have to say just make sure you give me a positive review. I think people will be more inclined, right? Anyway, just be point blank about the fact that, hey, we're running a certain promotion. How about a free 15 to 30 minute massage in response for your time for giving us a review or two? And you'll see that will resonate well with people, and it's also a great way to get new clients. As I mentioned before, when I spoke about number 1, try to avoid family, especially with the same last name as yours. And make sure, this is a very key critical element, I think, which is to make sure that they post a review on Facebook, Yelp, or even more preferably, as we saw in the data on BizRate, is Google My Business, right? Google My Business at least at this very point is the most trusted source. So, and we'll show examples of what that looks like. So, getting into review barrier number 2, the RIB, or the review impact barrier. So now that we have some reviews, we need to utilize those reviews. And honestly, review copy is the best copy out there. It's even better than your copywriter's copy. Why? Because it's the most authentic copy that you can possibly get. It's people who have done business with you, and they know what it's like to work with you, and they're not biased, because whatever copy that you write or that somebody else writes on your behalf is going to be biased copy. And that's already going to put you at a lower level of being able to convince somebody to work with you, right? Of course, you're going to say good things about yourself. Of course, you're great and wonderful and you're the best doctor. But when somebody else says it, that's a whole different story. So the second review barrier addresses utilizing your reviews strategically to get them in front of your prospects and utilize and get the most out of them. And as I mentioned before, there's a little check mark here. Prospects will often check your website first. This is, as data shows, the most common next level for people to take after they've reviewed your reviews and they like what they see. So making an impact, here you see some examples. So we're going to show some examples now. And we're going to advocate to do some things that maybe you don't see so often. Maybe you do see on some websites, and others you don't see often enough. So one of those things is to make sure your best copy is your main copy. Reviews and testimonials is your best copy. So if your audience never sees that copy, then it's worthless. Try not to make your clients search for that copy. So oftentimes people have testimonial pages, or they shaft their reviews in different corners and so on. No, it's your best copy. Utilize it. it's influential copy. And so we're going to show you what that looks like. So here is an example of review copy that's utilized within the homepage. And this is actually a client of ours who used the review copy or used the review widget that we offer for free. And it's a benefit for anybody who's a partner of ours. And you can see a few different things here. One, you can see that there is a third-party source, which is, what is the source? Google My Business. There's a picture of the reviewer. There's their name, right? And then there's some copy. So one thing, quick point to mention about copy, and I'm going to say this again later on, is don't use your copy to sell. Don't use your review copy to sell. Use it to support. And so here, there was a little brief profile about the doctor. This is a medical practice. And this review supports this. It's just like when you wrote an essay in high school or college, right? You had your topic sentence of your paragraph, and the 3 points that would follow are the supports that supported the fact of whatever testament that you made is supported by some sort of source or detail or example. And so that's what we want to achieve here. Also, this review is prominent. It takes up the whole width. You see what I mean? You can browse other reviews if people are interested. So we make it easy and we make it prominent and we support whatever our claims are. This one I love a lot because in the design of it, this review is put into the design in a simple but very nice way so that it flows. And in order for, in this company uses the headline, "This is why we do what we do." And this is also in their main pages. And how do they explain what they do? They use the review. And one thing that's awesome about this review is that it has a third-party source. It has a third party, has a client, and the source is Twitter, which is also a great source. Obviously, people have a lot to say on Twitter, and so this is awesome that the company took something that wasn't theirs and made it into something that was. So this example, there's some things I like and some things I don't. Right? It's what I like about it is that this is a ritual. They have video reviews, and we're obviously going to get into videos a bit later. They are showing them prominently. They have a nice flow. It's not so crammed. And they're also using another review from a third-party source, right? In this case, it's a company, but that's okay. And overall, it looks good. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is that, and maybe this can play into video reviews, into the fourth review barrier a little bit, is that you see that the backgrounds of the reviewers look staged, right? You see that it's like there's like there's a one color background, which means it was probably set up, and whether or not these video reviews are legitimate or not, they probably are. However, it just kind of kills the authenticity a little bit. So what I would recommend is you want things to look organic. You want things to look natural. And obviously, if people are doing a video review for you, nobody's going to post something that's negative, or at least I wouldn't think they would. But in this case, this might be a little bit too staged. This is just my opinion speaking more than anything. Just something to, you don't want people to think of flags, right? You want to try and stay away and make things look as organic as possible. Okay, so I love this example, and this is a simple but methodical way that a company took something that could be negative and used reviews to counter it. So what is that negative? This is a restaurant, obviously, BBQ and steak place. So uh, pricing is always a detractor for anybody, right? Unless you're the cheapest of the cheap. This place obviously is not. If the food is costing $45, $65, and so that price may put off people, right? That's a duh. That's a no-brainer. However, we're going to see in a later on example, and also here, that people, they're trying to counter the price with the testimonials of people from third-party sources. You see that this is coming from Google Maps, from Facebook, from Yelp, and they are saying how great the food is. The grilled chicken is delicious. I thought it would be the most boring thing on the menu, but it was by by far the best. Love it. You see, so $45. Who wants to pay $45 for chicken? This person didn't want to, but did. I love that they strategically thought about that. And that's something that anybody can do. It's not just specific to restaurants. Okay, so here's an example of a software company, right? They have a review that supports, they make a claim, communicate efficiently, and then how do they support that statement? Is they use a review from a specific person at a specific company, so there's a source. The only thing I would have liked here, as we mentioned before, is to reference a third party. They could have asked this person to post in one of the software directories very easily. They could have incentivized it. They could have added his picture to make it more legitimate. And so there's just certain things to keep in mind. And people trust third parties, right? It's like with anything. A company will always say that they have the best service, employees, whatever. But when somebody else says it, when it's through a medium, then it's much more trustworthy. So this one, even though I mentioned home pages here in the comments, this is not the home page. As you can see, it's the testimonial page. But I've seen this in other examples where, or other businesses where they take the first 500 pixels, the most prominent copy, the most prominent real estate on a website, and they make it as they try and squeeze in as much third-party reviews as possible in this. So here we have Aaron Wade, co-founder. What is the first thing you see when you go to this? You see a review. You see a video review. So you see the review first, and then you can dive deeper into it if you want, into the video. But I love how prominent this is. I like how visual it is, right? They have it's a background video, and you can play it in the foreground if you so wish. And it makes sense that a company would do this because they want to show that, just like what we mentioned in the last slide, which is that somebody else's words is supporting who we are, right? If we use our own words here, that means you're just gonna sell people, and people hate being sold. Remember this. People hate being sold, but they love to buy. So we want to sell people as less as possible in our communication with them, in our websites, in our web properties, in our ads. And we want people to kind of flow into a purchasing decision, not be sold into a purchasing decision. Sorry. And the other point I have to make here is to use examples and situations, and that's going to play into actually the fifth review barrier. So we'll wait to get into that idea. This one, excuse me, I really like what this business did, which is they took a part of the website, which is not typically the strongest part of a website. The left and right sidebars are the least looked at places of any website. If you look at, let's say, Facebook, they have published data that their right side on the desktop view, that the right pane is not nearly getting as much viewership as the newsfeed, right? Why? Because people go to the newsfeed and they just want to see whatever the page is about. So if somebody goes to the About Us page, they want to read about the About Us page. If people go to the newsfeed, they just want to look at the newsfeed. But because of how prominent and repetitive they made these reviews, they added a sense of prominence, and you can't help but look at the reviews on the side, and you see that they're all third-party sources, right? Google My Business is most of them. So great use of taking something that's not so typical and maximizing its potential. This is an example from AppSumo. Love AppSumo. If you don't know who they are, then they basically sell startup licenses for startup software. And what they did here that we want to call out is they use placement of reviews and testimonials, and they turn them into case studies. So they took those reviews and testimonials and they expanded it on them. Now, the only thing we don't like this is that they didn't really source specific people, specific clients as much as they could have here. They didn't make it as visual as they could have by adding a photo of the founder and their name. And like you see, they have how we made 170K in 2 weeks with our side project. Obviously, it's a powerful title, very few words making a very powerful statement. However, they could have made it more personal had they added a visual to it, added a profile picture, added the person's name, their title, date, that sort of thing. It just makes it much more much more connected to a source, I should say. Use your customers' examples in video or just in any medium, really. So what this company does, Bluebeam, just real quick, they make a video conferencing software. And so rather than talk about how great they are themselves, they use their customer examples to support what they represent or what they do. And awesome that they use video. Obviously, it's part of their product, but it's awesome that they use video, and that way it's much more tangible. So what are some good practices of the RIB? Review impact barrier. So reference the source, right? We got into that as much as you can. Try and use third-party sources with logo as a reference, and make your reviews flow, right? In the design, you don't want to make your reviews look like sales copy. You want to make your reviews support whatever claim you're making. Connect your review to the copy, right? Just like what we just said before. Just take the copy that that was existing or that's there and use it to support the statements made. Don't use vague sources, right? Don't say uh, anonymous said, or don't say Joe Schmo said. Be specific as you can, as specific as you can. Don't be overly dramatic with the design. We just mentioned that. And don't sell with the review, right? Don't use the review copy as a means of selling. Use it to support either a function, a service, maybe to show how good a service is, what's given as part of that service or product. And before I go on to this next one, so you might be thinking, okay, so how do I do this? Well, we actually developed a free tool that you can start using today to take care of the review impact barrier. So in the next barrier, we're going to give you a practical way of dealing with that next barrier. And this barrier, we give you a free tool, and we are expanding this tool. We're excited to get your feedback on it and to see you start using it. The DRB, the diminishing review barrier, right? This is just a reminder. This is answering the stat. 58% of people among all age groups voted that recency of reviews is the most important factor when judging trust. It's coming from Bright Local. So, and this is not just from Bright Local. There's a few other large studies that were done that also showed this. And that's why most of these stats that I actually put up were referenced by a few different studies. Not all of them, but most of them. And so what we found is that consumers are looking for recency. They want to see businesses that are relevant to them today, that there's ongoing business being done. And one thing to note is that, in order to keep that recency, you may need to ask more than once. Most likely you will need to ask more than once. So what is the solution? Well, the solution that we found is to create processes, a synchronized process that gets kicked off and works with every customer engagement. And so what that looks like is you want to identify every step or chain of events in your interaction with your clients or customers. You want to take note of what's happening in every single interaction with your client, or in every single step with your in the business process with your client. And then you want to plan when it's appropriate to request a review or testimonial, and how you should request that review or testimonial. And then you want to then there's the execution side of it, right? So here's a practical way that we found that you can do this, and this is more or less a Gantt chart. It's like a multi-level Gantt chart. And this is something that everybody should be able to do, because no matter what your business is, right, whether it's this example of website design project, example of Cheryl's design service, or which has a 30-day business cycle, or like a service cycle, or whether it's like even giving a massage, right? So if it's somebody that's getting a massage, then everything from 1 hour prior to that to 1 hour after that service, you look at where the customer is at every moment in that process, and you look at what you're doing in every moment of that process. If an example of this may be like, is your client not doing anything? Is he or she just waiting? Like if somebody goes to a doctor, or a dentist, they have 20 minutes, maybe more, where they just wait. So if it's a return customer, and if they're coming back to you, and maybe they've been coming back to you for a few years, maybe that's the best time to ask for a review. because what else are they going to do? They're just going to go on their phone anyway. And then, if people are leaving, that could also be a very ideal time to ask for review because they just had a service. And there's ways to get an ideal review or a positive review, even if they had, or I should say, to check if they had a positive review, even before you tell them to post that review on Yelp or Google My Business. So what this is emphasizing is to look at every step in the sales cycle or in the client cycle and identify when it makes sense to send out a review and how you should send that review request out, and through which medium should they post. So, in this example, we have, there's what the client's doing. There's a client meeting to discuss requirements. Somebody's working on the actual work, right? Wireframes, making changes, final delivery, what tasks are involved, send deliverable links, and then there should be a fourth row that talks about, okay, what is the client reaction warm? Does it make sense to do it here? What if it's not warm? Does it make sense to do it now? So I'm not going to get into specifics. This was just an example, just to paint a picture more than anything. So what we'll do is we'll have a practical solution, and we're not going to go through every step of that just for the sake of time, but we will cover the general process of what you can do. So be strategic about your review request. So here is just some strategies that you can use to capture that review. You can ask in person or through email, right? You can send an SMS link, and a lot of these things, by the way, you can do in an automated way. This is something that you can set up once and just trigger it with a click nowadays. So you can send an SMS message with a link. You can send a postcard. This is a lesser common tactic, but one that may work if it's hard to get in touch with somebody via phone or SMS or by email. You can send automated voicemails. You can provide incentives, right? Don't forget about incentives, that it's so completely okay to incentivize. You can make sure that you make it really easy, right? Whatever that process is, if it's a SMS message with the link, make sure that link only has like 2 steps to it, click on it, they say how many stars, they say their name or whatever, and then just, if it makes sense, just tell them to post on Google My Business, and then post, right? And so you want to create as few stages as possible. Identify the opportunistic times to act. And another more common source nowadays is video reviews, and that's something that you can do in the office, right? That's something that nobody has to do, or nobody has to click on or anything like that. You can have a tablet with the application or request or form already loaded. They just put in their name and they click record and done. That's something we'll talk about in the video review there, which is the next one. So let's start today, right? So what do you need to get started? Well, you need a method of contacting. So we're going to do something right now. I'm going to shift into a different application, one that's completely free. There's a small paid element if you want, but to do what I'm going to show you is going to be completely free, and it's automated. And so this is going to be a general overview. I'm going to have the full link coming up. This is the full link to the full training. So you need to be able to get somebody's email name, first name, and phone. We're going to set up a Sendinblue account. So if you just go to bit.ly bit.ly/SIB free, Sendinblue free, or you can just go to sendinblue.com, whatever you want, whatever is easier for you. And they give you 300 emails for free every day with no contact limit, meaning you can take all the information you have and put it into Sendinblue. Let's say you even had 1 million records. You can put all 1 million records for free into Sendinblue. And what they're going to let you do is, send up to 300 emails to potentially 300 different clients for free. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that because you also want to send subsequent emails, and that also factors into your free email count per day. They have, I think, very affordable plans starting at $17 a month for 40,000 emails. So this is a good solution. Some people have heard of them, some people haven't. But what they do is they give you up to 2,000, your first 2,000 records, right, have unlimited automation use. And that's why we're going to use Sendinblue. And so the last thing we need to do is we need to grab our third-party links. So in this case, we'll grab our Google My Business link. I'll show you how that works. And we're going to create an automation. That's going to be the final step. So here are the links that are relevant to you. So we're just going to do this real quick again. You can go to Sendinblue at bit.ly/SIB free. And that'll just take you to Sendinblue, and you can create a free account from there. What I don't recommend you do is try and do this while I'm doing it right now, because what you should do instead is go to go.smbreviewer.com after the training and go to /DRB. This stands for Diminishing Review Barrier, and you'll be able to pause the video. You'll be able to go step by step and completely create your account and follow my steps and completely just do what I do. And it's just going to be so much easier if you just do that as opposed to trying to rush through what I'm going to show you right now. So let's switch gears. We're going to do this really quick for the sake of time, as quickly as possible. This is just so you understand that it's possible, that it's not so difficult, and that you can see how this works. So you could either type in bit.ly/SIB free, or you can just type in sendinblue.com. You click on sign up free if you don't have an account. Log in if you do. So because I have an account, I'm just going to log in. And honestly, you can do this with a lot of software. You don't need to use Sendinblue. I'm not forcing you to use Sendinblue. I just know that the service is free. There's no limits with data. They have a cheap SMS option, and I'm going to show you what the price of that is. It's $1.14 per 100 messages, which is the cheapest that we found outside of gateway apps like Twilio and Nextmark. Outside of the gateways, which are stripped down versions of that just give you the functionality, they take care of everything, and it's only $1.14. So you're going to pay twice as much, but it's honestly $1 per 100 messages is not so bad. So it's like a penny a message. And so typically after you create your account, you'd want to go to senders and IP. This way you connect your domain to Sendinblue. That way you can send legitimate email marketing messages with your domain, and it's gonna look professional. It's gonna look good. And the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna go to contacts. Well, first thing you might actually need to do is click on this plus. and you just want to make sure all your services are enabled. And another thing I just want to mention that I love about Sendinblue, at least for the moment, they give you a ton of things for free. So the CRM, they give you a free CRM. They give you a free support tool. They allow you to add chat to your website, all for free. The only thing that they don't give you for free, and all their integrations are free as well. I think this Facebook ads, no, I think that's free. Landing pages and retargeting ads are not free. So you need to have a paid plan to use those. But otherwise, just enable everything, and they're pretty generous with that. So then we go to contacts, and you're going to create a list, and I think they give you a list, but we created one, right? We just called it, what did we call it? Just call it SMBreviewer, right? SMBreviewer. You can create subfolders also. How do you create the list? You go to list, and then you go to create list. And then you want to add a contact, and you can just start with yourself, right? So we create a list, add a new list. We created our list. We said where we want that list to be, to live, which folder, right? Choose your folder. And then you go to forms. So what this form is that it depends. It could be a review form for you, because let's say you're a plumber and you go and do a job, and you did that job, and you want to kick off this automation and this series of messages, timed out messages, strategically planned by you to send certain messages to certain people, or to your client. Then this form will exist for you, right? And so we just call this ideal result. I'm just going to share form. Here's the link. And you want this link. So we're going to create a form first, but once you get the link to your form, this is what our form looks like. Look, nobody's going to see this aside from you. So you're just going to add first name. You're just going to add their number. You're just going to add the email address of the person that you service. And so that information gets put into Sendinblue. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Then it's just there. And the application is taking care of everything else. So let's say you just finish a job as a plumber. Then you would just go to, I'm just going to do this in Bitly. Bitly is completely free. You can sign up for Bitly and just do whatever I'm doing right now. You're going to go to Bitly, take that form URL that we created, right? Here's the one. And you're just going to put it into Bitly. You're going to click create link, paste the long link. Here we go. Click create. And you're just going to make it easy. This easy link. Okay, so now if you type in bit.ly, bit.ly/this easy link, it's going to open this form, and you don't have to memorize this string of all these characters, random characters. And so then what you do is you put in that information, and it just kicks off the automation. You can also do it automatically through their integrations, but that's beyond the scope of this. There's an easy way to integrate with a number of services. Sendinblue does that pretty well without having to know how to code or anything like that. It just kind of depends. If you have a scheduling app, chances are you could probably integrate with Sendinblue through Zapier or something like that, and it would also kick off this automation. Okay, so how do we create a form? Create new form. You go to forms, create new form. We want to collect emails, create. And then so you see we have a basic form, and then we can just add a field. Which fields do we want to add? Hold on, it's loading. Okay, cool. So we'll want to turn off CAPTCHA because you don't want to put that in every time. Now, if this is customer facing, you'll want to make this form look nice and easy, right? Maybe you're a doctor's office. You want this to be customer facing. I don't know. It'll depend on your business in the way that you interact with your customer. Which way makes the most sense? Maybe if they're a walk-in customer, you're at a restaurant, you sit down, they might have to put in some of this information themselves. And so we're going to add text. Then we're going to do SMS. I know that doesn't make sense, but in their system, SMS is a text field, not a number field. And we'd want to add first name. All right, and that's all I did. Oops. And then the last thing that you just need to do, you don't need confirmations. You just want to tie this to a list, right? This is our test list, which is the name of every test list. And then you just want to click save. And that's it. We have our form. Test, just so remember, test form 1 is what we called this. And we have our list, we have our form. The next thing is to create. We're going to go to automations now, sorry. And I'm not going to do this with you right now. We do this in the full training, step by step. But we're going to create we're going to go to email templates. And okay. So I think I call this review capture. Here we go. I did this before. And this is what my email looked like. So we would just create this email. It's very simple. It has a logo, it has a intro paragraph. And you just want to talk about people's experience, and you want to tell them about your story. And we're going to get into why in a little bit. But you just say, what was your experience like? Select the star that accurately reflects your sentiment with our business. And afterwards, you'll be able to leave feedback. So real nice and easy. I just took an image from Google Images of 5 stars. Then from that image, I just created 4, 3, 2, and 1. It took me about 30 seconds. And you just want people to be able to click on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here's the real kicker. If they click on 5 or 4, they show that they had a good experience. Then you want people to post your review in your Google My Business, right? This is something easy and free. So this is ours. You go to SMBreviewer, this is our page. But when you add /review at the end of it, this is what happens. So again, if anybody clicked 5 stars or 4 stars, they're going to go to this page. Now, if they clicked 1, 2, or 3, you're just going to send them to a form, a feedback form, and say, hey, what could we have done better? I'm sorry that you just say that we read every single feedback. What can we do better? And we'll be in touch. Okay. But if they rated 4 or 5 stars, you want them to put that feedback on the internet. You want other people to see that feedback. So we typed in g.page slash SMBreviewer or slash whatever your domain is and slash review. And then this is what happens is it opens Google Maps and then it says, okay, so list the stars. Again, we already know it's 4 or 5 stars that somebody, and then you just want them to share their feedback and they could add pictures. So that's what you want. So what I like about this is that, say, people here, it says share details of your own experience at this place. And that's key because it's not just saying we'll just leave a rating. It's saying Google's saying I want to know, a little bit more information. And you can also say that here as well. We'll say, let us know about your experience. Let us know about your story. Okay, so after we create our template, then we could go to automation. And we're going to create an automation, but I'm just going to edit this one that I already created. You would just say create a workflow. I'll just 30 seconds to show you what this looks like. So then you see this nifty little flowchart wizard, and we'll just give it a second to load. So do you remember our entry method was our form, right? What was that form called? Test form 1. You select test form 1, you click OK. So now if any records come through test form 1, in this case this is another form I made, ideal result, then those kick off an email. And you can add a delay here. Maybe you want to wait 3 hours, you can add 3-hour delay. You can, so which email goes out? That review capture, that was the template we made, right? And then maybe you want to add a delay of I don't know, 3 days. Say nobody gave you a review. You added a delay of three days. Then you have another email reminder, maybe a different template, right? Here I have a different template. And then also maybe at that point you want to send an SMS, right? You can easily send an SMS. The only difference here is you wouldn't have 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars, although you could, it just would look messy. You would just want the web version link, right? Web version link is just our email in a web page form. And from there they can click on 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars. So here you can also you could also put their first name if you wanted to say, okay, hey John, you can automate that because remember we're collecting first name. And you can also say the ideal time that you want this to go out, because if it's too late, it may not be good to send somebody a text message so late or so early. And so then we make our flow. So I encourage you to, I'm going to go back to the training. Go to this page, go.smbreviewer.com/drb, and here you can watch the full training. I think it's around 40 minutes. So, and that's something that all of you guys, no matter what your business is, can do today. So PRB, we are getting close to the end, and this is the video. This is I called it PRB here. It's actually RPB, and I apologize for that. I should have corrected that earlier. The review power barrier, I'm just going to pretend it says RPB. So we've covered the first 3, right? Those are the let's call them the fundamental blocks. And then now we're getting into videos, which is the future of where we're headed in terms of reviews and testimonials. So what is the video craze about? Why are we coming to video, and why are we identifying this as the 4th review game? So Wizell found that 72% of people prefer to watch a video when both video and text are found on a web page. And maybe that makes sense to you, maybe it doesn't, but we have also found that people are just visual and or maybe they don't want to go through the time and effort of reading. Maybe it's on the mobile device, it's inconvenient. So people prefer to watch a video. one thing I want to add to this, and I didn't really think about it until now, which is you want to make sure you add subtitles. You see I have subtitles here, which, by the way, if you ever make a presentation on a PowerPoint, very cool that PowerPoint does this. You want to have subtitles because I believe 60 to 70% of people don't watch video, don't listen to the voice or the audio of the video. So subtitles are important. I think that just really tells us that people just prefer visuals. Um, I think with Google found that 50% of people look for videos on a product before purchasing it. Where are they looking? Mostly YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. So this could even be bigger now, this 50% stat. I think this is last year or the year before data. So uh, keep that in mind that YouTube is increasingly becoming a review directory in itself, even if it doesn't advertise itself as one. LinkedIn found that video content is shared 20 times more often than any other type of content. What does that tell us? It tells us that people engage with video much more so than with text. And that being said, you should know that people skim text. People don't read text. People they try and find what's relevant within the text. They're not reading the whole thing. Worstein found that 59% of executives would prefer to watch a video on the same topic than read about it. So this one blew my mind because I would never think that. I didn't even think it would matter, to be frank, for executives, for people, prominent business, but it's showing that regardless if you're some big exec woohoo or not, more or less 2/3 of people would prefer to watch a video on the same content. So what we recommend is to make it extremely easy and use tools that do the job. So what you want to look for are services or tools that have one-click capture capability. So obviously we're putting ourselves, we don't want to boast or anything but about our own capabilities. However, we do offer this service. And basically you would be able to create a landing page like this. So somebody clicks record now, they go to a link, you would have your branded logo, maybe your own photo here, and quick introduction with instructions. And it's literally, you could even leave this out and just say record video or upload video and just record a video. It's that easy. Obviously, there's other services that do this too. It's not a saturated industry yet, but it will be, I think, by next year or the year following. So Bose offers this, Hippo Video. Honestly, there's a number of others. So if you just type in video testimonial capture in Google or YouTube, then you will see a list of services, I'm sure. This is the one thing I want to mention. Use video stories in your copy. And here we see an example of 99 Designs, which is a brand that really blew up in the last few years. However, people don't, if you're talking about your copy, I would not do what they are doing necessarily, which is they're kind of shafting all their video reviews in one bucket, and they're saying, okay, just watch these video reviews. But you should utilize your video reviews in the flow of your copy. And it's some of the most powerful copy. Remember, almost 2/3 of people would prefer to watch a video as opposed to read about something. So very powerful to just have prominent video in your copy that supports whatever claims you're making to support your brand. I'm not saying that what 99 Designs was wrong. did was wrong, but I don't think it's the ideal. So what's some good practices? Keep it under 2.5 minutes. That's our recommendation. It's also kind of something we've seen. Why? Not for the video reviewer, but for the watcher of the video, right? They're not going to spend 10, 20 minutes watching a video. So keep it 90 seconds to 150 seconds. Make it easy, right? One-click capture is the ideal. Guide your client, use specific instructions that tells the client exactly what to do, what to talk about. Don't just say, leave us a video testimonial or leave us a review. No, tell them like points that they can talk about. So tell them that they can talk about, when they met with what kind of service did they expect to have. Guide it. You want to leave instructions to guide them to tell a story. And that is our final point, and that's actually going to lead us to the final review barrier. So the last point says tell a story. And so guiding your customer to tell a story is much more effective than saying a service is great. And this segues into our last barrier, the REB, the review empathy barrier. And this is honestly my favorite barrier because I just learned so much from this barrier. The truth of the story lies in the details. Thank you, Paul Auster. I couldn't have said it better myself. This is an author who wrote the Brooklyn Follies. Some people know it, some people don't. But what he's saying is the truth of the story, right? We're trying to build truth. And it's in the details. And that's what we're going to get into in just a second. So what is the data behind the story? So as you can see, I kind of have a habit of connecting data to whatever I talk about. And this is no exception. OneSpot research found that 92% of consumers want brands to make ads feel like a story. Some of the best Super Bowl ads, the most famous ads, I think, in the world are story-based ads. That's not coincidence. That is something that has time and time again shown to pay off. Also, something you notice, sometimes Coca-Cola makes their ads into story-based ads as well. Stories promote buying behavior. Research from Headstream show that regarding people who love a brand story, 55% are more likely to consider purchasing a product in the future. If that doesn't do something to you today, to start changing all your ads and so on to make them into stories, then I don't know what will. 44% will share the story even if they don't buy, and 15% will buy the product immediately. Well, so usually what are the typical stats? 2% will buy the product. Much less will share, right? People want to engage with the story. And stories help remember. Jerome Seymour Bruner, this is a very kind of well-known stat, but one of the first cognitive psychologists in the early 19th century found that by using stories, people are 22 times more likely to remember the facts. And so this isn't the primary concern or idea behind creating a story, but it's definitely a strong second or third principle, which is stories have been used for thousands and thousands of years. It's in the genome of a human being to use stories to convey ideas, whether it's in ancient Jewish belief or Christian belief, even in the Chinese culture and Japanese culture, almost every single culture, African culture, every culture and people have used stories to convey ideas or lessons or anything of that matter for thousands of years. And so we're going to see how this connects with reviews. So before before we get into the review aspect, I want to kind of conclude with the science of this and why stories will work and why they work, especially in reviews. So this is from a TED Talk. We're going to watch a 3-minute clip from a TED Talk by David J. Phillips. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. It's called The Magical Science of Storytelling. After you watch after this training and after you watch the training to set up Sendinblue, go to this link, go.smbreviewer.com/SOS, which stands for the Science of Storytelling, and watch the full video. It's 16 minutes and 44 seconds. It's totally worth it, and I think it'll help you look at marketing as a whole in a different light. So I'm just going to play the video and hope you enjoy.
In 2009, a man, a journalist, by the name Rob Walker, wanted to find out is storytelling really the most powerful tool of all? And in order to do this, he went on his computer and he bought 200 objects from eBay.
Again, we're only going
and the average price of the objects were about $1. He then called 200 authors and he asked them, hey, would you like to be part of the significant object study? Which means that I would like you to write a story to one of the objects. And 200 authors said yes. So there he had 200 objects, he had 200 stories, and I assume that it was with nail-biting anticipation that he went on eBay again with all the 200 objects. Would there be a difference? Would there be a change? Do you think there was a change? One of the objects was this beautiful horse's head. There we go. The beautiful horse's head. Now this beautiful horse's head was bought for 99 cents and was sold when a story was added for $62.95. That is a slight increase of 6,395%. So was this a one-off situation? Not really, because he bought the 200 objects for a total of $129, selling them for $8,000. Now that's insane. But you know what's even more intellectually challenging to understand is how can you and I go to the movies and pay good money to watch movies like James Bond, who are absolutely unrealistic. And we sit there, we enjoy the movie, and some of us, we really enjoy the movie. And we leave the theater going like, God, what a man. I would like to be more like him. I'd like to walk like him. I'd like to talk like him. I like Bond. Wonder how I could be more like Bond. And then this weird revelation hits you like from nowhere, and you come up with a brilliant idea to walk to a watchmaker's shop. And wow, it just happens to be an Omega watch in that shop that resembles the one that Bond was wearing in the movie. And you pay $10,000 to put that watch on your wrist, and you leave that store feeling more like Bond. How is that possible? PQ Media tells us that $10.5 billion is turned over in product placement revenue every single year. How is it possible for you to be so easily tricked by something so simple as a story? Because you are tricked. Well, it all comes down to one core thing, and that is emotional investment. The more emotionally invested you are in anything in your life, the less critical and the less objectively observant you become. And the greatest emotional investment of all is falling in love.
Okay, so that was the first 3 minutes or so of The Magical Science of Storytelling by David J. Phillips. Awesome video. Definitely recommend that you watch it. And I'm just going to summarize some of the points that he makes on later on. And so I'll just hit them real quick. The first one is the cliffhanger. And when people leave a cliffhanger, they can create a higher level of dopamine, which keeps up a higher content engagement. So, for example, Timmy was riding his bike, and he was riding it on a nice Friday afternoon. The sun was shining, and Timmy was on the road, and everything was pleasant. And he looked to his left, There was a car coming straight towards him. He didn't know what to do. He froze. The car was coming faster and faster. Timmy could hear sirens behind that car. It was a police chase. And so the driver sped up. He was going faster. And Timmy didn't know what to do. And then I stopped. You see, I'm leaving you with a cliffhanger. And that's going to drive up dopamine. There is an immediate reaction to that story. And what the listener or the reader is experiencing. And so what we're going to cover now is just how the brain reacts to various types of mediums, like content mediums. So empathy, when people create empathy, it creates oxytocin. And it's the most powerful hormone of them all because it creates an emotional connection, right? Empathy. What is empathy? When you see a homeless person on the street and he's suffering and he has blisters on his feet and somebody approaches him and comes down and takes off the shoes off his feet and gives him his shoes. Empathy. It creates oxytocin. It creates a bond. It starts. And if you really start thinking this, especially with things like movies, you'll really begin to register how the brain reacts to different elements of a story. And then the last one is laughing. Again, David goes into all these things much more than I do, but just to highlight some of these things. Laughing creates endorphins, which creates relaxation and focus. It also establishes positive associations. If you watch like videos, right, of people, falling, they had like America's Funniest Home Videos for a long time with, what's his name, Bill Saget, I can't remember, something Saget. And so they used to show videos of people falling, people getting cakes thrown at their face. It releases endorphins. You want to keep watching those videos. And now the biggest provider of those videos is probably YouTube and Facebook. And so people get hooked on them. They just keep watching the related videos. And it creates positive associations. But those are things you can do in your stories as well, in your review stories. I've seen reviews that are funny. I've seen reviews that create empathy. I've seen even reviews that have cliffhangers. So when you understand the science of the review, or I should say of the story, you can understand how to maximize the impact of your review. So there are various ways to craft stories and to guide your clients and prospects, or just clients and customers to leave stories. And one of the ways, just so you can walk away with something, is something I call the 4 I's. So if you're taking notes, this stands for imagine, identify, introduce, and intercept. So I try to keep it simple by calling it the 4 I's. So how do you do this? You start with imagining. So you want to imagine a familiar place, something that's familiar to your audience. So if you say, I went to the dentist on Chesapeake Boulevard. It was a sunny afternoon. You're creating something ideally that's using specific language from whatever location you're at. And when a reader reads that, they're going to be able to visualize what that means. You want to identify a threat. The next one. Identify a threat is a challenge that's denying an opportunity. Could be, for example, the dentist took a look at my mouth and he said, wow, you may have you may need some real surgery. You may have a real problem. It looks like some plaque got stuck underneath the gum line and my gum got infected. You want to introduce the villain, right, or the challenge. So In this case, I guess you can say, but my insurance company wouldn't cover it. They were fighting back against it, and I didn't know what to do. And the intercept would be the hero protagonist. And you could say the uh, dentist Harrison said, you know what, this is so important that we're going to take 25% off. We're going to do what we can to make this as affordable as possible. The dentist did the job after a grueling 2 or 3 hours and a lot of anesthesia, and I can't thank him enough. He just made my year. He made my week, made my month, and it was important that to me that he took the extra step for me. You see how that speaks a lot more to just saying, "Oh, Dr. Harrison is great," or Dentist Harrison is great. So we're just gonna hit some quick tips about this. We recommend that you don't leverage stories as a selling point in themselves. That you use them within the context of whatever you're talking about, within your copy, within your marketing materials. Don't just say, okay, read these stories or watch these stories. No, use it in an organic way that supports whatever you're doing or selling. Whenever you speak in hypotheticals, right, in generalities, you're guaranteed you're not gonna connect with certain people. Maybe with some people, you'll be like, okay, oh, he's great, it's worth checking out. But you're guaranteed not to connect with a good number of people. I like this story. We're gonna look at a few stories. This is one that was left for my client. And what you're going to find is you don't actually need so many words to tell a story. It's going to be surprising how people can tell stories without using a lot of verbiage. So here's one example. Through his cutting-edge cancer screening program, Dr. Lewandowski had found an early-stage kidney cancer. Right? We're talking about the 4 eyes, where we're setting up the place and the threat that my previous physicians in standard imaging had missed. He had also identified a mistake in the colon cancer screening, which I myself wasn't even aware of. I had multiple risk factors for heart disease and strokes, which Dr. Lewandowski guided me through. And now a year later, my labs, and here's the result, and imaging are looking so much better. But what's more important, and the reason why I'm so deeply grateful, is that Dr. Lewandowski not only saved my life from kidney cancer and strokes, but he helped me feel and function better than I've ever had. Thank you again. I'm truly grateful. And then another thing to point out: what did the business do? They left also a compliment to her, right? And that's important to respond to as many reviews as you can. This is a great example of, it's a pretty quick paragraph. It's about 4 to 5 to 6 sentences, and it talked about an experience that was related to this person, showed how this doctor resolved a threat, and even took it a step further, right? So if we go back here, intercept, right, revealed that the hero was part of the solution and resolve. So here's another one that I like. This is also for a different medical provider, slightly different medical provider. He said, I have been working with Adrian and the lovely staff at Balanced Medical Solutions. Both my husband and I felt way off, exhausted, low energy, not sleeping well, weight gain. So here we have, we're setting up the situation, right, the threat. And we can't lose a pound no matter what we do, with very little libido, both of us. We have just started the bioidentical hormones after thorough and complete labs were done. and imbalances were discovered. We felt relieved to understand why we were feeling the way we were. Now, just a few weeks into the program, we feel amazing. Here's the resolve, and each of us amazing, and know that each of the issues will resolve. I can't wait to update this review in a few months. Now, whether she updates the review or not, it doesn't really matter. The fact that she said that says a lot in itself. You must do this. It's life changing. It's life changing and positive, right? She tells people to stay tuned. So, actually, on this comment on training programs, this is something that I actually mentioned earlier. We're going to come back to it. So, Sandy, this is also a different medical provider, but I just want to show you a kind of a different story, but also very powerful, right? She tries to really identify with the reader. And she says, I'm on my last bottle of a prescription med that I need to take daily. I'm out of refills. I had my pharmacy try and reach out to my PCP to issue an extra refill just to get me through the craziness of the current pandemic. She never responded. So she's really setting up the situation the first eye now. And I've been having issues with my regular doc anyway. She lost my last lab result and has a habit of not calling me back. And this is not the time for me, to visiting any docs in person or looking for a new doc. So I was stuck on getting this prescription filled to get me through the next few months. But in my search, I stumbled across FleshCare. I tried it based on online reviews and figured there was no harm if it didn't go well. Obviously, it couldn't be worse than my current situation. The site was easy to use. Okay, so she's starting to talk about the resolve, right? The benefits, and shortly she'll introduce the protagonist. The site was easy to use. I got an appointment in a time frame that I wanted with no problem. Though I booked it just the night before, the interface during the video chat worked so well, and I really liked Dr. Leon. He was conscientious and had a good bedside manner. Can't believe what we accomplished so quickly from the comfort of my own couch. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out here is that it's important that she set up the place and the threat, but she also talked about what she liked, and those compliments are only gonna boost the impact of the review. So the way you can do this is to actually ask for these details, ask for their experience, talk about what happened before the review, what happened before the experience, what brought you to us. Feel free to expand upon it. Feel free to let us know. We're going to get into this shortly. Feel free to let us know if we could have done anything better. That's actually, people are going to leave you 5 stars, even if they give you a negative comment. That's going to make you look good because it's going to make this look more organic. This is an example that I wanted to point out because there's a lot of reviews like this that actually have a negative effect, I would say. I've been going to Dr. Kim since 2008. I absolutely adore him. I have always been treated so nicely there. And Dr. Kim takes his time and doesn't rush you. So it's a little bit salesy. It's not ideal, but it's not also the end of the world because you'll see. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. Because she's going to get into like the office is so chill and relaxing. It's just compliments like that, rather than talk about likes during the process, the overall compliments, that's for people to judge, on their own. That's when people make those assessments, then I guess it's expected, but it's not an ideal copy. Okay, so this is where it starts being helpful. He always told me to eat healthy, exercise, etc. So I lost now over 100 pounds and all my muscle. And it got all my muscle back. Feet issues have vanished. Right? So this is playing into what we were talking about before. Right? He's very encouraging, and I enjoy going to see him. She's talking about what she likes. But the fact that she mentions that she lost 100 pounds and she got her muscle back and feet issues have vanished, that's very key, because then she's starting to talk about a story a little bit, a specific case or a specific result. Again, all the compliments kind of make this a little bit more salesy than preferable. This is an example that I really like, where it's very little copy and it's a complete story, and it's supported by pictures, and visuals can help a lot with the review empathy there. I was in a strange situation. I was attacked by bug bites and I was covered. I'm allergic to bug bites, so I had a bad reaction. I contacted them at 12:30 for an appointment, got an appointment at 2:40 with the doctor. He was kind and helpful. I had my prescription at 3:20 and was on the road for healing success within 24 hours. I would use PlushCare again, no doubt. Also for PlushCare, not to advertise them, but I just really liked how this was short, sweet. It was very eventful. She listed all the whole timeline of events, and she has a full story, and she talks about what she liked, and the visuals just make it more real. Okay, so this one I mentioned again, using education. Remember that slide in the very beginning? We were talking about trust building, our principles of trust building, and one of them was education. So I'm going to show you now what that looks like. Sam is a fantastic criminal defense lawyer. A friend of mine got into a bit of trouble, and I helped him look for a lawyer, and we're so glad. Wait, sorry, that's it. And we gave him a call Sunday afternoon. He got right to work and listened to the details of the case, walked us through the process, and started working on the case immediately. He gave us clear instructions on what needed to be done and explained how everything was going to work, and that he would do everything possible to get the case dismissed. So one thing I want to say about Sam the lawyer, is that he had the most reviews out of anyone. And something that I noticed that would come up again and again and again for Sam was that a good number of people were not actually his clients. There were people that called him and started asking questions, started asking for advice, and this guy Sam just gave them advice freely, and people were putting reviews left and right, and they were recommending him, and people just felt good, because people know that whether or not they go to Sam ultimately to service their traffic needs, I guess, traffic law needs, they know that they can trust Sam, because Sam is the source that conveyed all the information that they needed to do to move forward with their case. Now, most people are not going to want to deal with their case on their own. Some people may not have the money, but the fact that you have advocates out there advocating your brand. So if somebody ever comes to their friend and says, I just got this traffic ticket, I don't know what to do, somebody will say, wow, I just spoke to Sam, he's amazing, he gave me all this free advice and he didn't even charge me for it. So yeah, that's going to invite people to talk, but that's very powerful. Just think, a good number of Sam's reviews are not his own clients. He just took the time to explain to these people what they should do. And so amazing choice on amazing decision by Sam to do that. And you see in the reviews, people say, I went with Sam because of the number of positive reviews that he had. Also good things to note here is that people are emotional creatures, right? People, and we talked about this from the video, is that empathy and emotion um, help people create positive associations. Most people don't read, they skim, right? As with blog posts, the majority of them don't get read fully, so it's important to have power words, right? Emotions, actions uh, really help paint a picture, especially if people aren't reading the whole review. Here is another review for Sam, but not ideal, right? Sam is an excellent attorney. He makes himself available for clients and provides excellent advice. It's not that the information is bad, it's just that it doesn't paint a picture. It's not something that people can connect to. What does an excellent attorney mean? To every person, that's going to mean something else. Um, here's a 1-star review. So I mean, you might be thinking, why would I show a 1-star review? I mostly want to show this review because this is a short story. However, how the business responded was key. Order delivered from Grubhub. Prime rib was heavily crusted and in oregano, and that was not mentioned in the menu. So here somebody's talking about their experience. I ordered a rare prime rib that was well done and dry. So what I like about the way that the business responded to it is that the business didn't try to fight the customer. If the customer had a certain experience, it doesn't matter what it was. The business accepted the feedback and was like, Paul, sometimes when we send our steaks out for delivery, they cook in the containers during transit. We are so sorry that your prime rib didn't arrive cooked. Now here's the good thing that they did as well, is that they made it very personal. He gave a number and he said, call me. Ask for me personally, Joe Kahn, and I will get you another piece of prime rib ASAP. Amazing response, short, to the point, and people can read that and be like, wow, this business takes responsibility and accountability. So last review I just want to mention, also for another restaurant, and this I'm showing this one to show how a story with even negative points can still make you look good. In town for Labor Day weekend, went to grab lunch with a friend. It's been a crazy trying to find and dine in places. Found this gem and glad we went. We got there and there was about an hour wait. Obviously, our wait is not ideal. Not sure if you can call to make reservations, but we were driving around looking for places and we found this one. We waited for an hour to be seated, but it was worth it. So that says a lot about the food. Only outside seating. Service was great. It was a scanned menu and outside seating. The food was amazing, and we ordered the Millionaire Bacon Flight. Obviously great that they put a photo of that. Definitely worth it. We liked 2 out of 4 more than the others, but totally flavorful. Okay. The mascarpone stuffed deep fried French toast, ribeye, ami rice, and ricotta hotcakes. Good service, delicious food, a little pricey, but we'll be back. You see how this person says, our wait, little pricey, but still 5 stars, and we will be back. So that really makes a testament to the experience. And that's why really honesty is the best policy, because this review is way more believable than something like this. You know what I mean? Who knows if this was made up? Who knows if Sam just asked his friend to leave a review? So that really concludes our presentation. I want to do just a few things now. We are going to talk about what we do at SMBreviewer. We're going to share our free tool with you, and we're going to open this up to Q&A. So I think we have a unique solution. And by the way, I want to thank you so much before I jump into this next segment. Thank you guys so much for being on the training. I hope you got a lot of value out of this, and I hope whether you did or you didn't, on the last slide I'm going to put my information. Please reach out to me personally and let me know how this went for you. Very important, and we read everyone's feedback. So just real quick, what we do, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Obviously, it was kind of a robust, long training. I want to just kind of summarize. We do the research, so we find out which exact topics and exact needs are relevant to your clients. We do that with you. We plan and strategize, drafting a strategy and a series of tactics to help achieve a specific goal. So as it relates to reviews, we basically do almost everything. We just happen to work with you because they're your clients, so we want to make sure we're sensitive. We're sensitive to your needs. And we do the action and outreach. So we personally do the outreach unless it may make sense in some situation where the business owner does the outreach. So it really depends on your situation. But we can handle everything. A lot of business owners don't want to do all this. And so we do this for them. And we have a very flexible business model, which I think is beneficial for anybody's budget, really. And we'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So just to go back to the trust method, we are a trust building agency. This is what we do at our core. The review aspect of it is one aspect of it, and it's something we offer as a service. However, in principle of what we do, with our clients is, we do the research. We make sure that whatever product service offering you offer is relevant, and that the points are relevant to them. Again, I mentioned that this is one of the most underutilized aspects of marketing that needs more attention for most businesses. Reviews and testimonials, obviously, we just spent a good amount of time talking about this. And so this is a big part of trust building, and this is something we do for every client. Referrals is something we didn't talk about, but also connected to trust, reviews, and testimonials. So all of this is connected to stage one. They all kind of work in parallel, all at the same time. Which involves using your referrals, involves utilizing your own network to build a warm reputation with second degree connection. So next, it goes into education. So we help develop educational material with you, both in a marketing sense and in an interpersonal kind of methodologies of connecting with your prospects. This essentially means in the sales cycle will help guide that process so that whatever that may be in relation to your industry or your brand, it's going to make sense. And there's going to be a ton of educational value, which puts you as the thought leader for your prospects. You see why that's important. Understanding, after building the educational aspect, we create a process that's unique to you of building that understanding, using strategies to build customer understanding and of your customer and understanding and customer understanding of you. So those two things work in tandem, and we look at your sales cycle and help optimize that with relation to the education. And that ultimately leads to stage 4, trust and conversion, right? So after stages 1 through 3 have been approached, that sets you up for stage 4. As I mentioned earlier, we have a free tool for you. It's called SMB Reviews. We're super excited about what's coming with this, which is right now we kind of attack the review impact barrier. So this is about collecting your reviews from different sources, positioning them and designing them in certain ways, and without using any code, just copy paste, put them into your website. You can also make a landing page of reviews if you want. You can share them on social media, and this tool is for free. We do have a premium version for $5 a month, which makes it a bit easier. However, it's not really our goal or our focus. Our goal is to build out the free version and make it as free as possible for as long as we can. So go to go.smbreviewer.com/tool, or you can just go to SMBreviewer.com, and that will give you access to our free tool. So what do we try and do? We try and really honestly be your partner. And a lot of people can say that, but you will see like very shortly in the specifics that we offer how we do this. So we give you a local consultant that's complimentary. So even before you spend any money with us, you have a partner. You have somebody that's working with you in your business, giving you advice, somebody who's available to talk to you, to bounce ideas, and we're going to combine forces per se to make you successful. And this person, probably for now it's mostly going to be me. It could be somebody else actually, but it's mostly me, and I'm going to work with you in your situation to optimize your strategy and optimize and help you overcome your challenges. So one of the benefits that comes with partnering with us is we give you a number of free tools. These are for review capture, review tracking. As you can see, there's a leaderboard, so we empower your employees to also do capture reviews. We give you the ability to send SMS, email, social media messages, what else? Video reviews. As much as we can, we try and provide tools either for us to handle or for you to handle the whole marketing process the review capture process and review optimization process. Also with that is our advanced review capture and display. So beyond the free tool, we also have an advanced form of review display and review capture that comes as part of the partnership, and that's free. So we're excited that we're able to provide this for free. So again, you get a free consultant, you get free software, you get free review capture, free display, and you get free video testimonials, one-click capture. Also, you can sync with Amazon. Or I should say, all of this comes part of the offering, and so you're probably thinking, well, that's cool, but can you sweeten it up a little bit? So we decided to get to everybody who went through this training, at least for the intern. We are going to give you a bunch of free premium tools, and we're actually going to implement these things for you for free. So this is just maybe half of them at the moment. So we have free website security through VirusDie. We have free site widgets. So these are over 50 widgets through modal forms. You can go to every one of these sites and check them out. We give you free email marketing for up to 10,000 records, so long as your marketing, actually, yeah, it doesn't really matter if it's on WordPress. This company, MailPoet, is on WordPress, but we also have a solution for companies not on WordPress. We give you a CurioBot, free press release, this is only getting bigger. So the only thing I want to say about this is a limited time thing, because I don't think that in the future, after we after we get X number of clients, that we can offer this to everyone. Because the way this works is you get a free, let's say, token every month, and you can choose whatever one you want. And so we use your token for that month to implement a service for you on your behalf, and you get access to that service as well. I think for most of them, maybe not for all of them, for most of them. Also free hosting for a year. That's through our hosting company, and so there's more. And so even if you took the combined value of all of these services, it's gonna be more valuable than what we're gonna charge you. So oops. And so maybe you want this deal to be sweetened a bit, right? So maybe you're interested and you're like, okay, so what else can you do for me? Why not? If you can get away with it, why not? So we charge per 8 reviews per month. So we are a completely performance-based service. A lot of businesses can't say that. We only charge you if we succeed in getting you reviews. If we invest a month to getting you reviews and nothing comes out, then you don't pay us anything. That's just how we do business. And so we charge for 8 reviews per month. And anything after 8 reviews, we're going to give you 33%. Again, this is not everybody. This is for people who went through the training. And out of respect for your time, this is something that we felt like we could offer and we should offer. So how much do we cost? We cost $25 a review. We request a 8 review minimum to do business with us per month. But if we don't perform and we don't get you 8 reviews, then we don't get paid. That's or we get paid a prorated amount, right? So if we get you 4, then you should pay us 100. And that's just how we do business. You know what I mean? That's just, we thought that we should only be paid on the amount that on the level that we're able to achieve success. You shouldn't pay us X dollars and not get anything for it. So we thought to sweeten the deal, we give you, honestly, I think the best part about our offering is the local consultant, because getting somebody's experience and knowledge is way more valuable than I think the reviews themselves. But this is the core of the service we offer. If you want to work with us on a deeper level, then you can partner with us fully and make us a part of your team, and then we give you the whole trust building package, right? And that includes everything. That includes everything from website design to ads to everything, and that's a flat rate. Yeah, we're charging the same amount for everybody. So, but as far as reviews are concerned, we charge only $25 a review, and so that's going to give you access to all the software you have. It's going to give you access to the consultant, the market research if necessary, most likely necessary, review capture, review display. So we're going to attack all your review barriers by and large. I'm just thinking, is there any review barrier we're not going to attack? No, we're going to hit all of them. And we do that for you, and all we charge is $25 a month. And we hope the 275% boost, up to 275% boost, is going to more than pay for that. I think it would. So, who is this not for? I don't think this is, to be honest, it's not for everybody. I think it would be for most businesses, but not for everybody. If you don't value your time, if you're a person that wants to do everything themselves, probably not for you, because you probably just want to do it yourself. And that's fine. And that could be for budgetary reasons, that could be for a lot of reasons, especially with Corona. I get it. So if if you don't value your time or you don't need more time, then this is probably not for you. If you're penny pinching every single penny with every review, probably not for you as well. We charge a flat fee per review. After 8 reviews, you guys on the training will get a discounted amount for every review that comes after 8 if you want that. We do give a lot of reviews for free, but that's generally how we charge. And if you don't value guidance, if we're working with you and you're kind of brushing off what we're saying, I'm not saying you have to follow everything. We're not forcing you how to do business in a certain way. But if you don't value your partners, it's gonna show, and it's gonna lead you to less success, I think, at least from my experience. And the fourth one is the most important, which is if you don't communicate, we make ourselves available. We give you our WhatsApp numbers, we give you our text, our phone numbers. We do whatever we can. We will stay up late for you if we need to. And so please, as mutual respect, please communicate with us, and that would be, and it's all for your benefit. It's all to get things done. It's all to help your business achieve success. So that's what we're really trying to do, and without communication, it's very hard to get those things done. So are there any questions? And thank you so much, I want to say, to the 10 to 15 people who came and watched this. I haven't really answered your questions to this point, so we're going to make some time for some questions, and then we'll call it an evening. So again, another thank you. This is me, Vic Kotanovic. You can reach me at vic@SMBreviewer.com. If you know my email is vic@SMBvision.com, that's fine too. Just to recap, all the things we talked about are recapped there on the page. And if you are ready to move forward, you can go to go.smbreviewer.com/partner. So thank you again so much for your time. I really hope you got a ton of value. I hope you see the potential partnering with us and what that can bring you. So go to smbreviewer.com/partner, and that'll take you to the partner sign-up page. And on that page, you can also schedule a call with me. You don't have to pay for something immediately if you want to speak to me more. What happens after is that if you decide to sign an agreement with us, we will, within the next 48 hours, we'll get back to you and start setting everything up. We'll have all your accounts, and we're excited. We're really excited to work with you. I think we have a unique offering and a unique price point that I haven't seen anywhere else. So I really hope you see value in this and you take advantage of it. So thank you again. And now I ask that people send me their questions. So in the chat, obviously, if you're not watching this live, or even if you are, then to just any questions you have, there's a chat box. I'm sure everyone's seeing a chat box. Send a chat, or if you don't want to talk about whatever issue publicly, you can contact my email, vic@smbreviewer.com, or vic@smvvision.com, and send me an email or jump on a call with me. I'm happy to talk to you. So, does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? If not, no questions. If I answered every single question perfectly, I'm glad to hear that. And uh, until the next training, if this training was helpful, we're super happy to create more. Okay, so Pat from Dallas, Texas says, thanks for the presentation, definitely helpful. Thank you, Pat, really appreciate that. Regarding your service, do you require commitments from us? Yes, in a way, right? These are not like, okay, one email per day per 24-hour period, make sure you respond. But if you don't think you can communicate very well, or you don't value guidance, or you're going to penny pinch and argue with us on every review we capture for you, then maybe it's not the best for you. You know what I mean? So those are the commitments. The commitment is to be a team player, really. And if I'm summarizing that up, and hope that answers your question. And Jill from Tracy, you're still on here, which I'm super delighted about. And Jill, what do you got for me? From experience and data, can you tell us uh, the best time to ask for a referral? Okay, so this is a great question. Thank you, Jill. And what I would say to you is to wait until the client is in a good mood. And I think that's really key. It's like whether or not you've actually delivered your final product or not. I've had I've seen it where people want to give a review even before we've like hit 50% into the product, into the deliverable. So if you look at a sales process, there was a slide that we showed of a Gantt chart, and you notice that there's certain points where it makes sense. It doesn't really matter what you want is for people to tell their story in the review or in the testimonial. And if that makes sense to do, then do it anytime. Like just strategically understand what that is. And the thing to look out for is the client is happy with the result. They're happy with how things are going. They're happy uh, with how things have progressed. And send them a request. Ask them to do it. But try to get it right then and there when they're in that good mood. You know what I mean? So oftentimes it might make sense to wait till the final result. However, good emotions are not guaranteed, right? So see what you can do to get that good mood. Hope that was helpful. And are there any other questions? Please don't be shy. Just, we do have a few different chats here, so 1 second. Okay, thank you, Charles from Los Angeles. Charles asks, do you offer a guarantee? So in a way, we kind of do, right? Because you're not you're not paying us unless we get you a review. So that's our guarantee. Our guarantee is that we guarantee results, and if we don't, then you don't pay us. Not even Costco does that, right? If you buy a pizza from Costco, they give you a pizza, but if it's a crappy pizza, then you're still stuck with the pizza. So we produce results. And it's also, the other thing I want to say, it's on us to optimize, right? if we're not performing at the beginning, we're going to be pressured to optimize our ability to capture reviews for you. Phil from Miami, Florida says, good info. I got some good new ideas. I'm happy to hear that. Phil, how many times should I ask for the review? So, Phil, there is no magic number. What I would say is this idea. If I ask you to wash the dishes, how many times would I need to ask you before you wash the dishes? Now, for some people, that could be zeros. For some people, that could be one. For people, that could be two. And some people, that could be 10. So there is no magic number, but I think with time, you'll understand what that number is, and you'll also be able to optimize. So again, we have that Sendinblue training to create an automated system through Sendinblue. And if you can see that it's that sending 3 emails before you send a text message is not doing anything for you, then maybe moving the text message closer to the first email is what you want to do. Or maybe sending a text message first, you know? So it's going to it's going to depend on your use case. It's going to depend on your business. It's going to depend on how you do business. And it's also just going to depend on your clients, because some people are good at giving reviews, some people aren't. Phil, there is one idea I had. Just the key to remember is timing, right? We mentioned that in the Gantt chart. Just remember the timing of when you're sending this, because timing is critical. Don't send it 4 months later after you did the trade, did the business. Do it in a very strategic way. And also something I want to mention is that people love referring. So people love referring, I should say, when it makes them look good. People will voluntarily refer another business happily if it makes them look good. So they'll voluntarily review you happily if you're making them look good. Okay, so anybody else? Sorry, I missed this one. Amy from Orange County says, regarding review capture and some of the other things that you pointed out, is this in the free tool? So I'm really glad you answered that or asked that, because right now review capture is not part of the free tool. It's part of the partner tool. However, I just was working with my developer and developing some sketches to offer review capture for free. So we're excited to do that. And what's that? That's going to make it super easy. For example, if you're working at a restaurant, right? Or if you own a restaurant or manage a restaurant, and you either can give out a link. You have a link on a form that says review us. Go to this link so people can pull out their phones, go to your web page, or you can have a tablet kind of locked to a table or something with the web page already open, and people just put in the review and click enter. You will capture the review, and it says, please post this review on the directory of your choice. So it could be Google My Business. It could be, you could automatically go to Google My Business, automatic redirect. So we're experimenting with ideas. So probably not within the next few weeks, but we are actively working on that. See, did I answer that question? Yes, I think I did. Phil from Miami has another question. He says, will the consultant do the work, or will I? So that's a good question, Phil. And in general, it really should be our job to do the work for you. That's the benefit. we're spending our time to get the reviews for you, to post them, to do all those things. The In some cases, though, it does make more sense um, for the business owner or for the manager, whoever is on site with the company to get that review. Um, it just again, it's going to depend on your situation. So we can give you the tools, or we can support you, or if it doesn't happen on the first round, then we can assist you with all the other follow up. It just kind of will depend on your case, and the consultant will work with you to develop what that flow looks like. Okay. Did I answer all? No, I think there's one more actually. Um, so it says, okay, I just want to make sure I didn't forget any of that information. I'm looking through my notes just in case I missed it. Okay, and I think I answered most of the info as far as I can see. Um, there were just a few more questions. Um, by the way, this is your time to ask questions. Ask as many as you want. So Charles has another question. Okay. Regards QRB, is the number of reviews relevant to a total number or the number per source? Good question, Charles. That is the number per source, right? Because that's unless they're coming on your website, and if you can organize your website to have around 6 to 10 reviews that they read, then that's going to be more connected to your website, or the total number of reviews that you have. However, if somebody is looking on your what's it called, the Google My Business page, then you're going to want to optimize that and maximize the number of reviews on Google My Business. Okay, so I hope I'm saying this right. This is Sidrath from Wisconsin. Says, how many video reviews do I need to make? Do I need to have to make an impact? I think we didn't talk about this, I guess. I think ideally 3 to 5, right? I think they're a little bit harder to get oftentimes, but they're critically important and they're much more engaging. So I would say the goal is to have 3 to 5 visible and accessible video reviews. If you can have more, it's great, but it becomes maybe harder to plug them in. Jill has another question. Thank you, Jill. Are we charged for reviews that have short responses? And the answer is yes, because I can't dictate to you, and I can't force your clients to give me a minimal amount of um, copy or answers, or so if they respond with little to no reviews, then we do our best to optimize what we get, but that I can't control that, and so you would be charged for that review. Okay, Charles, again, do you guys do fake reviews? And um, I don't know if you were with us, Charles, at the very beginning. No, we not only do we not do fake reviews, but we don't endorse fake reviews either. We just think that the reputation risk is too high, and it's just not worth doing. Um, Pat Pat from Omaha, Nebraska says, which video provider do you recommend to showcase, host the video reviews, YouTube, Vimeo, or something else? I honestly think YouTube is fine. I think YouTube is a little bit better than Vimeo. YouTube, if you're by chance, if your video reviews are collecting visibility through YouTube, then it's always good. YouTube is fast. They have ultra lightning speed servers. I think they're actually better than Vimeo's. If you have a different source like Amazon's S3, then that's also fine to host. They also have a dependable video host. But what I like about YouTube is they optimize those videos as much as they can. So YouTube is fine. If you have another third party, I think it's okay. We've tried companies like what's it called, the Call Hippo or Video Hippo, and to host videos, and it's not bad. I just think YouTube is more optimized, and with site speed being a factor, it's better for that. So thank you, Pat, for that question. And the last question I think we'll take is Anita from Albany, Georgia. Thank you, Anita, for still being on here. So Anita says, how do you track which reviews you get? Okay, great question, Anita. We track in a few different ways. So first of all, if you're using us to get your reviews, then I assume that we're your sole provider. Otherwise, it's going to get confusing. We do have internal tracking, but for some of the times we can't use internal tracking. So what we do is usually you will give us a list of who your clients are, and when we go to try and approach grabbing a review, we can match it up to that record. So if Adam Lampert goes is a customer of yours and you give us his information to contact him, then and Adam leaves a review, then that's how we're going to dictate that. Um, Obviously, so we have to do kind of an assessment. Um, or if you use our technology to get a review, we also count that. But if somebody just goes to Google my business and puts in a review, then we try hard to separate those types of reviews, and we wouldn't charge you for that. So that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. Okay, so I think. Oops, sorry. I gotta think of the solution for this. So I think it's been a pretty in-depth call, pretty in-depth training. So we're just gonna call it. And if you guys have any follow-up questions, please go to the link below or email me, and happy to answer your questions as well as to give you guidance on anything. So thank you so much, and we look forward to having you in the next training. So goodbye, everyone. Have a great week. Rest of your week.